This video is to cover how to get custom fonts installed on your website using two different methods. The first method is the method I don't really care for, and that's the Typekit through Adobe. And the reason I don't really like it is because it's very Dreamweaver specific. Um, I will show you kind of what I'm talking about here. I've set up a situation here with an H1, and I'm going to create an H1 style. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a very custom, well, not a custom font, but a very decorative font. So uh, first off, I start off with the font family. I'm just going to have to type this out. Uh, Style attribute. And then I get my font list, my font stack that Adobe provides. And you see that I've got a couple of decorative fonts here. I'm going to add another one just by clicking Manage Fonts. And I'm just going to scroll down to get, this is a great interface, by the way. You can really choose some cool fonts here. This is, again, some very abstract, artsy font. And when I click Done, nothing happens. So I have to generate that list again, and you will see that that now is added to that list. And then I click that, and then if I want to do more than that, I will hit the space bar. And let's say I want to add to the font stack, make sure that, if just in case this font isn't there, Helvetica or sans serif will come in. All right, now if I go to my design view, I'm pretty sure I did this correctly, and I did this correctly, but font's not showing up. And the reason being is because the way this works is that it has to get the font from the server, and in this case, the Adobe Typekit server. And by doing it this way, which is a very legitimate way to style your font, it doesn't add the extra little bit of code which calls the font from the server. It's not there in the code at all. So I have to delete all that. I'm going to go over to my CSS Designer panel, and there's my H1 style. And then I go to my font property, and I go to font family, and then I'm going to choose that font from this list since I've already added it, so at least I got that done. Sorry, that's off screen. Let me see if I can push this up here a little bit. There we go. There's that font. So I'm going to choose that now, and now if you see at the very bottom, this script was generated. So you have to go through this process to get the Typekit font, and of course there you go. I'm just going to undo all that. And by the way, I'm not specifically trying to get a specific, a certain font. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to do the Google font way. And this is the way I recommend. And by the way, for all my clients, this is what I do. The reason being is because with Google Fonts, it's an open source. It's outside of the Adobe realm. So if Adobe decides to change its mind on a certain font, I'm not going to have to worry about it. Google's pretty reliable when it comes to relying on older stuff. So in this case, if I'm going to be looking for some crazy font, I may just click display, maybe handwriting, since the other one was kind of like that. And I may not have exactly the same, fonts to choose from. It may not be exactly what I want, but uh, anyway, these are more reliable. Let me just take this crazy one right here. Uh, so if I want to use this font, what I'll do is I'll click this little plus button here. What that does is that loads into the bottom the font family selected. Now, if I want to use this in my design terms, I can actually download the font by hovering over that little download arrow and downloading it. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Go find it in my Finder. There it is. And then I double click that. and then I can install the font on my laptop. By the way, I'm not a big fan. But anyway, now it's on my computer and I can work with this in Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign. But that doesn't mean that it's going to work on an HTML page. To work on an HTML page, what I would do is I would take this line of code right here. This will access the font on the Google server just like the Adobe code did, but I can very simply copy, go back to my HTML page. Now I paste this not in the style tag, but outside of the style tag, in the header, in the head, sorry. And this now calls that font. The next thing I do is, and I like this because it puts in the font stack, so in case this one doesn't show up, then the cursive font will, which is more standard. And then all I have to do, paste that in there, and voila, there it goes. Now, little bit of an issue here. Because I put this as an H1, what I'm also going to have to do is I'm going to have to turn off the bold to make this not look quite so splotchy. So I would do font hyphen, I think I just spelled that wrong, font hyphen weight, there it is. And I would just say, I'm kind of turning off the bold here by clicking normal. And now I get the desired effect.